AIME broker community. Welcome to the Wednesday weekly sales meeting. Looking forward to another big week here. Just want to get started and talk a little bit about focus. This is something that's really been on the top of my mind here over the last couple of days. It's something that we see every single day in the post in our Brokers Are Better Facebook group. And I want everybody to just take a minute and let's just start with this. Whether you have multiple windows open, whether you have your phone in front of you, if you could, give me your undivided attention, okay? I want 100% of your focus for this period of time so I can explain to you the importance of focus. Now think about these three things. Number one, the number one thing I see consistently is people focusing on what they don't have versus what they have. And this is a really important thing. It doesn't matter what you don't have. It doesn't matter the programs you don't have. It doesn't matter the LOA you don't have. It doesn't matter what you don't have. What matters is focusing on what you do have and making the absolute most of it. So if you have an LOA, how do you make them better? The products that you have, how do you make sure you're promoting them correctly to your real estate agents and to your consumers? How do you maximize what you do have versus what you don't have? Number two, focusing on what you can control versus what you can't control. You can't control a lender's turn time, but you can control where you send your business. Think about that. You can't control what your competition's doing, but you can control what you are doing. That's another thing that you have to focus on. Number three, focusing on the future versus focusing on the past or the present. You control your future. You can focus on doing the things today so that you're successful into the future, not focusing on what happened to you last month, what happened to you last year, something that went wrong on a deal, some real estate partner you lost last month because you didn't close the deal on time. Start focusing on the future. So focus on what you have, focus on what you can control, and focusing on the future is going to be the theme of this sales meeting today. Next thing, winning. Winning is a mindset, so is losing. And I see it every single day. I share something and you'll see somebody come out and focus on a negative. They'll focus on the one thing that's not perfect. They'll focus and find the one thing that's not in their favor. We need to focus on winning. We need to focus on the future. And right now, more than ever, winning is a mindset that you have to, every single day, take the discipline to make sure you're not going to a negative place. You're not thinking about the things that could be better or the things that you had 90 days ago before the whole economic shutdown happened. We can win every single day. We can win every single week, but you have to adopt a winning mindset. If you lead with negativity, if you lead with the worst case scenario, if you always are focusing on the wrong things, you're not going to win. You're always going to be in this situation where you're in a pity party, you're feeling sorry for yourself, you're going backwards. We're going to focus on having a winning mindset, and that's something that you need to have the discipline to do. Now, I understand that I might be abrasive. I understand that you might not necessarily like the way I communicate, but just understand this. Your comfort zone is your limitation. If you want to grow, if you want to get better, and there isn't somebody in your office pushing you, if there isn't somebody at your company that's helping you get over the hump, pushing you to leave your comfort zone, then that's what I am, okay? So you might not like it, and you might not want to hear it, and I might be annoying, and I might piss you off, but just understand, the whole goal here is to win, and you don't have to pay attention to me. You can leave the Brokers Are Better Facebook group. You don't have to follow my social media posts, but I'm going to stay focused on the broker community growing and winning into 2020, 2021, and in the future. So just understand, we're going to be relentless. We're going to stay focused on serving consumers, and we're going to focus on growing, even if that means it's out of your comfort zone. So with that said, I want to talk about what the game is in 2020. And more now than ever, we're starting to see it this week, and we're going to go over some lender announcements that came out this week. But for me, the game is being the best priced option for consumers. It is 100% the deal. When in 2018 and 2019, when brokers had their biggest gains in market share, it was as a result of the discrepancy of the spread between retail and broker being at its largest point. And that opportunity exists right now. When a consumer's looking at LEs and they got a broker at 3.25 and a retail guy that they were referred to by their realtor at 3.75, mentally it's not that big of a deal, and they'll go with the loan officer that was referred to them by the realtor. But when they're looking at an LE and the retail guy's at 3.5 and the broker's at 2.75 or 2.875, mentally they're in a whole different category. They're saying, why aren't I in the 2s versus in the 3s? And that's the mindset that we have to start thinking about. It's about winning, and it's not about making the most money per deal. Can you at 2.875 or 2.75 make what you would be making at 3.25? No, you can't. But will you win more customers? Will you grow your pipeline? Will you have more loans in your pipeline? Yes. In 2016 and 2017 and 2018, I told everybody, work for less, close more loans. Why? Because the biggest database always wins. Why is Quicken Loans the #1 lender, retail lender in the country every year? They got the biggest database. They have the most clients. So when rates drop, they got the most people to call. Think about you. If you closed 5 loans last year at 2.75% lender paid comp, how many customers do you have to call in this refi environment today? If you close 5, that's 50 loans for the year. That's with the 3x factor of assuming that 50 loans or those 50 customers referred you 3 more customers, 150 customers total. So the 50 you closed plus 3 they referred you is the 3x factor. So 150 is your max number of customers you're going to be calling right now. Now, what if you close 3 more deals at a point lower in comp? Instead of 2.75, you're at 1.75. Would you have made less on a per deal basis? Yes. But right now, if you did that last year, if you closed 8 deals a month, that would have been 96 deals for the year. At the 3x factor, that's 288 loans for the year. Because for every customer you close that's happy, they're going to refer you 3 more customers. So if you came into this year and you had a database of 288 customers to call to lower the rate, who's winning? Is it 2019's profit on a per deal basis, or is it 2020's database? Play the long game, focus on the biggest pipeline, focus on having the biggest database. More customers will always result in more referrals, a bigger database, and the ability for you to capitalize during a market like this. So think about right now, what rates are you quoting? Are you quoting 3.25? Are you quoting 3.375? Or are you in the 2s? Customers are willing to pay a point, or they're willing to pay a 1.25 to get in the 2s. Be the differentiating factor. Understand everybody else is in the 3s. To be the guy in the 2s, believe me when I tell you, you'll be the only one offering that rate. Focus on winning more customers. And that could mean lowering your lender paid compensation. Again, not something people are comfortable hearing. Nobody wants to hear, hey, Anthony, who are you to tell me to lower what I'm making? I'm telling you, in the long term, it's a winning formula. The top brokers in the country, the top LOs in the country understand it's a customer acquisition game. It's not a profit per transaction game. Next thing, I want to talk about, don't be a mortgage broker. Be the mortgage broker. And that's one of the big things I see. I see people talk about, the way they position themselves within their community, within their realtors. I see the post on their social channel and the way they describe themselves. If you generalize what you do, if you put yourself on an equal playing field with your competition, then you're going to be looked at as just another loan officer, just another mortgage broker. Understand, put yourself at the top. You're the best at what you do. You're the expert. Well, make sure you're categorizing yourself that way. Make sure you're positioning yourself that way. I am the mortgage broker you need to be talking to. I am the mortgage expert you need to be talking to. Take that mindset. Again, we're talking about a winning mindset. It's the words that come out of your mouth. It's the communication that you put out in the world. It's the way you position yourself that is all about getting you to that winning result with a winning mindset. Couple lender announcements here. Yesterday, we saw the announcement by UWM. Conquest, you heard Matt Ishbia talk about it, great program, and obviously that's going to help everybody win. But I want everybody to understand, the announcement yesterday is one part about the program, but the other part is about what impact that announcement has on the entire market. Now, UWM, as we know, they haven't been taking on as much volume over the last 60 days as they were, in March. They closed $20 billion in March. Last month, they probably closed half of that. The truth of the matter is, we need to understand that when UWM is leading in wholesale, everybody else in wholesale needs to follow. If they have the lowest rates, if they have the best price, or if they are among the best price lenders, it regulates the system. And as a lender with 10% market share, just understand, that also helps the retail guys too, because when brokers don't have the best price, when brokers aren't as competitively priced, retail lenders and bankers, they raise their margins. And who loses? The consumer loses. So yesterday's announcement isn't just about Conquest, it's about what it does to the entire ecosystem. It's about the opportunity it creates for consumers. It's about lowering pricing, and it's also about competition in wholesale. Service wins, price wins, brokers have options. UWM came back yesterday with a big announcement. Next one, Caliber Home Loans. If you are looking at Caliber on Loan Sifter, you're missing the boat. Caliber has another 3 quarters to 100 basis points in pricing incentives that's not showing up in Loan Sifter. So you have to go on the rate sheet. It's purchase focused. And if you're not signed up with them, their turn times are very good. They're under 3 days in underwriting. They're very competitive. But as far as Loan Sifter goes, people come to me and say, hey, Caliber's way priced out. But if you look at the rate sheet, they have another 3 quarters to a point in pricing incentives for purchases. So make sure you're looking out for that, because that's a big one. It's a difference maker. And the brokers that have tapped into that are doing a nice amount of volume with them. Third thing is Remen Wholesale has been crushing it on government lending. If you're not signed up with them, you definitely want to take a look at them. The government pricing overall hasn't been as competitive for many wholesale lenders over the last couple of months with the forbearance issue coming up. Remen has been super, super aggressive on government pricing. So that's a tip of the week as well. Feel free to email partnerships@aimegroup.com if you need an AE for one of those companies. We're happy to help you. I'm going to hand it off to Rene Rodriguez. Rene is... he was on the sales meeting last week, provided a lot of value to the broker community. Hope everybody enjoys what he has to offer today. Rene, thanks for joining us again.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you, Anthony. Always great to listen to you talk and always looking at the broader picture of what's going on. And so, hey, broker community, I have one question for you. If you were here last week, we talked about creating a sales culture of numbers first, story second. So I've got my first question for you. How productive was your last week? And if we remember, we talked about how do we manage from a small box. And if you remember, why do we make a box so small? It's so a story doesn't fit. And so you got to ask yourself, because I'm not there. If you were sitting right here, I would have your numbers and I would ask you, based on your goal, your income goal, your family goal, your financial goals, everything, how'd you do this week? And I'd ask you for one number. And if you gave me a story, we'd cut you off to begin again with just one number. Remember, it's numbers first, story second. Here is what I want to talk about here today. You are all in a highly competitive industry. You have things out of your control, things that can have an impact on how you compete in the marketplace. And so I want to give you a very simple message here today, which is the reality that there are only 3 ways that you can compete in the marketplace. And that comes from Dr. Michael Porter of Harvard, who's the first person to talk about competitive strategy in the 1970s. He's the one that coined the term competitive advantage. Then he went on to talk about a sustainable competitive advantage. And I'm going to tell you, an interest rate is not a competitive advantage because it can be copied. And so as great as it is that we are in this amazing low refi boom and low interest rate boom, it isn't sustainable for the long term. So if you're in this business for the long term, I'm going to ask you to think forward. And so let's recap what those 3 are. So the 3 ways you compete, number 1 is through lowest price. And if you think about the marketplace right now, Walmart has pretty much nailed that piece. There's not anybody that's going to compete in a retail environment with a Walmart. And so if you're going into retail and selling products, going after the lowest price probably isn't the smartest thing. The second one is focus, a focused niche. There are a lot of ways to fix a car, but Rapid Oil Change and Valvoline decided that we're just going to do your oil. We're going to fix your oil. That's a focused niche. And the last one here, you see in red, is differentiation. And that's what I want to talk about here. You see, differentiation is one of the most misunderstood and overquoted strategic or competitive strategies out there. If you ask somebody, and I'll ask you, what is the definition of differentiation? And if you're like most people, you'll say, well, it's to stand out and be different. Well, if that were true, you could walk in and wear a clown suit and guess what? You'd stand out and be different. But would you get more business? You see, there's a very specific definition that I abide by when it comes to differentiation. And I want you to write this down. If you have a pen and paper, I want you to grab it because this is what should drive you. Differentiation is the ability to sell a product or service without having to lower its price. Think about that for a minute. The ability to sell a product or service without having to lower its price. And so you see, if you are in this world and you can't sell your product without lowering your price, guess what? You're not different. And that means that your customer has no other way of valuing who you are because you've given them no other value proposition. You've given them no advice. You've given them no strategy, a bigger picture to look at. And so they're going to go with the only thing that they know how to measure, which is interest rate. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that interest rates are low because it gives you an opportunity to help more people. It makes business a lot easier, but I'm trying to help you for the long term. As Anthony said, my job isn't to make you feel good. My job is to help you win the long game. And sometimes that's telling you things that you don't want to hear. And so here's the other piece about it. And I want you to think about this, okay? If you don't have low interest rates, then you have to be different. Because if that is if you're not different and you have high interest rates, you're just not going to play in the game. So if you don't have low interest rates, you better be different. And guess what? If you're not different, if you're the same as everyone else, you'd better have low interest rates. And so think about that from your perspective. How often are you cutting your own price? How often are you discounting things? And now what Anthony's talking about is compensation is much different. That is a strategic competitive strategy to make sure that you're competitive, because you have to be competitive in the marketplace. But I'm asking you to challenge you. What are you doing to be different? And here's the coolest thing about it. AIME has devoted their time and their energy to giving you tools to be different. I got a chance to sit in a presentation where Barry Habib walked me through how MBS Highway worked. I sat back in complete awe with my jaw on the floor, looking at this product and saying, if I was doing loans again, I would just be copying every single word that came out of his mouth, understanding this technology. It is I don't even know what to say. It's the perfect example of how to set yourself apart from the competition. Look at all of the vendors that they have strategically chosen to give you access to, all of them to give you a competitive advantage through being different. But how often do we just ignore the initial consultation? In fact, this is a conversation I've had with top producers all over the country. The first thing to go out the window when it comes to low interest rates is the initial consultation. And so I'm going to challenge you to go out there and ask yourself, what do you have to do to be different? Utilize the tools that you've been given through AIME and figure out a way to make sure that you are different. And so I will see you again next week. Anthony, back over to you.
Thank you, Renee. We appreciate you very much, always bringing a lot of value. So a couple things I want to focus here on at the end of this meeting is just some things that are really good call outs. Number one, the Broker to Broker podcast. If you're not listening to them, you're missing out. We put them on YouTube if you want to watch them. We also have them on every podcast channel that's out there. But just understand, so much value there. Last week, we had Brian Decker, top 10 loan originator in the country for the last 10 years, sharing systems, processes, how he built his brokerage when he made the transition from retail to broker last year, and how he's dominating. He's giving the recipe. He's giving you the playbook, but you got to listen. You have to focus and actually take the time out of your day to listen to that 40-minute podcast because it's so much value. This week, we have another top LO, Katrina DiBiase out of Maine, top LO in the country, top LO in Maine. A lot of value there. The reason we do this is to help you understand the mindset of the best, help you understand an area of your business that you're struggling with and bring forward people that thrive in those areas so you can get better. That's the goal. So Broker to Broker podcast is something AIME offers. Another thing that we offer is our Brokers Are Better vendor network. Last week, we added LionDesk, which is a CRM, great value, great system, high quality, but more than anything, built for small independent businesses. And understand the importance of that. You go out and get Salesforce, you have to customize it. You have to spend a couple $100,000 on getting it to a place where it's made for your business. LionDesk, we've been working with these guys for the last 6 months to a year to make sure. Independent loan officer, independent mortgage broker, they want to sign up with you. Is it plug and play? Is it ready to go? And that solution is. So take a look at it, get a demo. I'm not telling you to sign up for it, but just give it a look. Next thing, Fuse is still on. It's happening. The country's opening back up. It's 5 months away, and I want to make sure everybody understands we're still going to do Fuse. AIME will be there no matter what. I will be there no matter what. So AIME Fuse is happening. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. We're planning on offering it potentially virtually if there is any still states that have shutdowns. But just understand, we're planning on being there. We're hoping everybody's going to be there. And I just want to recap today. The focus is what you have, what you control, and the future. And right now, I'm telling you, 18 months, we have nothing but low interest rates. We're starting to see lenders offer rates in the 2s, paying a decent amount of revenue. Focus on winning more customers. The name of the game is whoever has the biggest database wins. Quicken, why are they our biggest competitor? Why are they the biggest retail lender in the country? Because they got the most customers. They have the biggest database. Guess what? You can start executing on building a bigger database today. Instead of 5 loans a month, Do an extra 3 loans, okay? Focus on how do you compete for those deals. It doesn't even matter if you don't make any money on those extra 3 deals a month. And somebody might say, oh, Anthony, I'm working harder. I got to put in a lot more effort. Are you kidding me? You get 3 more deals if you work for free for them. And those 3 customers refer you 3 more customers. You're now in a situation where each of those customers refer you 3 customers. That's 9 customers. Was it worth doing 3 deals for free to get 9 customers that will send you another 3 customers each? Of course it is. It's a customer acquisition strategy. We have to start thinking like our competition. Quicken, our competition, they're focused on more customers in the database, allows us to refinance them when rates move down. You have to think the same way. It's not about profitability on a per transaction basis. It's about the biggest database. Compete to win every single deal. That's how you build a database. That's how you build a business. And that's how you win long term. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing everybody next week on the sales meeting, and keep dominating.